Hi, Meg Moranis here. Welcome to Diets Are Fattening. Today we're going to talk about how you approach eating healthy thin mentality versus diet mentality on your birthday, which for me is today. And it always reminds me and harkens me back to when I turned 40 and I said, I'm not dieting anymore. I'd been on so many diets, up and down, always struggling, always just being either good or bad, and how miserable that was. And thankfully, when I turned 40 and I had, just had enough, and I just kind of broke. I said, I'm not doing it anymore. And everything changed. And luckily, as many of you guys know, I've told this story so many times, there was one person in my life who had a healthy, thin mentality, who ate what she wanted and was tiny. And I said, I'm going to copy what she does. I'm going to copy what she did, because sadly, it was my grandmother and she'd already passed away by then. But I remembered. And that is how I formulated my healthy thin mentality, modeling her behavior and ignoring all the crazy diet people around me. I had 4 mothers, mother-in-law, mother, stepmother, and stepmother-in-law. All 4 of them, are great people, but they all were crazy dieters. And that's who my example was in my life. And so it was, of course, very natural for me to develop a diet mentality as they had. And as that might be true in your life as well. So I'm here to model what my grandmother modeled for me. She didn't even know it, and I wish she did, but a healthy, thin mentality with a normal relationship with food and eating, where in her case, she would enjoy her Manhattan cocktail and her lamb chop and her baked potato with butter, and would look at her daughters who are all dieters and go, phooey, that's nonsense. That's what I remember. Thank goodness I had her in my life to lead this path for me, so I could get rid of that diet mentality. So again, today's my birthday, so I always really get in touch with that feeling of being so happy that I made this change, and I want you to do it too. Let me give you a little example of how it's changed my life. So I've always loved cake. I don't know why, just something. Some people like ice cream. I never really cared about ice cream. I like cake and with the icing on it and all that. So for all those years I was a dieter, ages like 15 to 40, I was either like gonna allow myself cake or not, and if I allowed myself cake, I would just eat so much because I was allowing myself cake, which was bad. So I might as well just get it out of my system and eat a whole bunch and then go on a diet again. And that's the mentality that brews in you. When you have a diet mentality, it's all or none and good or bad. But the word that is so much more important is the word relevant. And with a healthy thin mentality, you learn what relevant eating is. Relevant eating is eating when you're hungry. And it doesn't matter what you eat when you're hungry. You will not gain weight. When you're hungry, you eat. Your body's going to use that food. It's when you disassociate eating and hunger. And that's what dieting does to you. Because in the morning, let's say you wake up and you're not hungry, but your diet said you need a good breakfast, so eat this. Okay, great. And so you start ignoring your satiety as well as your hunger. So let's say then it's 4 in the afternoon and you're starving, and your diet says, nope, you're not eating till 6. Okay, so you live for 2 hours with that hunger feeling that you ignore. So over time, of course, you don't even know what it feels like anymore. So your healthy thin mentality is about finding that relevant signal to eat, that hunger, listening to it and embracing it. So again, back to me and cake. So now with a healthy thin mentality, and I've had a healthy thin mentality now for 18 years, it is such a joy in my life, whenever I want cake, I enjoy it. And what happens, and this will happen to you too, is that when you release the power that food has over you, and how you do that is by, nothing's off limits. You can have whatever you want when you're hungry. Whenever you're hungry, you can eat whatever it is you crave. And those cravings change over time. Because when you first do this, you'll be like, wow, well, I'm craving cake every day. Okay, well, have some when you're hungry and you'll get over it, because you'll realize that cake is good sometimes. But sometimes a salad is amazing. And sometimes you be surprised that you don't want food. And you relearn your own body and your own signals, so that when you occasionally, I don't know, for me at this point in my life, being totally free from a diet mentality for so long, I probably crave cake like once every 2 or 3 weeks at the most, maybe. But it's because I can have whenever I want. And so my husband got me this little box of delicious cupcakes. And in the past, when I was a dieter, this would have been like, oh no, there's cupcakes in my house. What am I going to do? I better just I better just throw them out, which is so sad. And I know you've done that too. Or I'm going to just give them away, or I'm going to just eat two and just stuff my face with two because they're big. I'll show you. And then I'll throw them out, or whatever. It would always be some angstful thing. Instead, look at this. It's such a pretty little cupcake. How could this be like threatening? It's just food. And when I'm hungry, if I crave cake, which I probably will, maybe that's ingrained in my head from my birthday, I'm gonna have some cake, maybe, okay, so what? But in general, this little cupcake has zero power over me, as it would have when I was a dieter. It would have tremendous power over me. With a healthy thin mentality, it doesn't, because it's just cake, and I can have it whenever I want. No big deal, no big deal. And you also, with healthy thin mentality, you eat less food, but you enjoy it way more. There's no guilt, there's no harm, there's no hiding what you're eating. Did you ever used to do that, or do you do that now? Like when you feel you're gonna be judged by people, all that goes away. You own your food personality. It is such a happier way to live, I promise. It's about learning to trust yourself. It's about knowing that Mother Nature is so powerful within you. You have to listen to her, and she gives you hunger and satiety, like not eating when you're not hungry is important, just as eating when you are hungry is important, and eating what you crave is important. So if this message is helpful to you, please like, share, subscribe. Help others understand the power of a healthy thin mentality as a force for amazing joy and amazing pleasure in your life regarding food. And it also allows you to focus on other things, because if you think about how much time and energy you spend every day, even on contemplating, what you're eating, and oh my God, my clothes are tight, or they're loose, or whatever it is. There's so much mental energy going in that, and there are better places for that energy to go, I promise you. So again, please like, share, subscribe. Help me get this message out there, and I will be back soon. Again, thanks for being with me.